What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. Boy, do we have a lot to talk about today between the Ghost from the Past reveals and now known ratios of the Ghosters and Brothers of Legend presales heating up with Tier 0 coming out swinging. You can use code WhatsGood5 for 5% off and support the channel directly over here. And understandably, they sold out of Droplet really quick by undercutting everybody at $87. And of course, even cheaper with that code. Then you also see Wing Requital at just $7. I think this is like an $8 card out of the set, but completely sold out very fast here. They do have Pookery a bit higher and other lower end cards a bit higher than other sites, which is why I love competition in the pre-sale games. And I think that's just a placeholder for Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And I don't really like number 17 Leviathan Dragon Astral all that much for this price. I think it's much more niche than Utopia. It doesn't end up in modern decks. It doesn't have a whole structure deck that got cut up into the side set to go along with it. I just don't think it really commands the price or even notoriety that Utopia does over the ages. Gamer's Choice has also entered the pre-sale sphere. They have Droplet up at around $98. Code WhatsGood5 for 5% off and to support the channel directly. We'll take a good chunk off of that, as well as Magician's Souls, which brings it back down towards, you know, like $52-ish. They have Bane at 40, Gold at 35. Wing Requital is quite a bit more, but then they have Nibiru at 13, which sold out a little bit higher over at Tier 0. So again, it pays to look around, especially if you're going at a massive card. You think this is stonks, this is going to be $18. I do think it'll have a chance to bottom out maybe towards $11 to $8, depending on the competition at the start of the set, because a lot of people will be ripping this open to chase after certain things inside. But I think a ton of people are going for the singles, waves, and then people diamond handsing their sets versus looking at other past, you know, Battles of Legend, how crazy expensive the sealeds go. It'll be an interesting show on that front. So we do see over here, though, Bane at just $34, Gold at just $27. Tier 0's bringing the real heat and stealing the show on these pre-sales, and I do think they'll have quantities now to restock a couple times, so keep your eyes on that site, or you can shop Gamer's Choice for USA print cards, and they have pretty darn good prices on the lower end, such as Allure at $280. That's a pretty good stonk, in my opinion, and Kaiju Slumber at just $2, along with Godarla, one of the most wanted, and all the Shark stuff is so cheap too. The Karibo Brothers stuff, as I understand, some of it's shorted in the Ultra slots, but again, I don't think it'll be immediately hunted after, but I do think that could age well as collectibles. I'll get all of the short prints and ratios once I can confirm them, EU and USA. For now, all I do know is that Droplet is shorted, thus cry over the price. We have Gold, Bane, as well as, it's not Diablosis, it's also Magician's Souls that is shorted. Diablosis is actually not shorted as the prize card, and they have it at just around $10 over here on Tier 0, and they have it around $10 on Gamer's Choice. I do like this early competition, and I actually want to shout out some sellers over here on TCG Player from what I saw. I complained yesterday about how TCG's system only has limited pre-sellers. Kudos to these guys for seeing the competition and adapting just a little, even though they're not as good of prices, and even though it's low quantities, for not just undercutting by 50 cents or $1, but really starting to slash prices as they see competition elsewhere and trying to make a sale. Shoutouts to these guys, Green Tree and New World Manga, for not just being completely greedy, barely going under pre-sellers using TCG Player's platform. To be clear, my gripe is that there is a restriction on who can sell for pre-sales, so much so to the point that it chokes out the competition, and people can list whatever they want for, but it stops more of a free market because there's a problem with pre-sales where pre-sellers cancel orders. There's really bad, oh, I didn't pull enough. Oh, I didn't order enough to pull enough. Really irresponsible ones that would continue to cancel orders. TCG Player, maybe make a system where it's like 3 strikes and you're out of the pre-sale program, but give people a chance to get in there and fulfill, in my opinion. But yeah, Brothers of Legend still up on daily as well. A lot of prices had to be upped a little bit just to try to keep in stock, as they sold out of tons of them last night. But with competition here, I expect them to be probably repricing a bit, and it'll be interesting to also see Gamer's Choice. I know they do singles for a lot of sets, if they will keep up maintaining the site or if they'll just do pre-sales. I'll talk more to the owner about that. But really awesome to see this competition, this network work versus this terrible TCG player system. Now, also back on pre-orders are some of those Albaz Strike structure decks and Ghost from the Past. And Ghost from the Past is really the hot topic, isn't it, around these parts, because we had the reveals and information given. There are only 9 Ghost Rares, so 9 Ghost Rares tells us that the ratio for pulling each individual Ghost is barely just a little bit better than last year, because they're doubling the rate of them, which if it's 2 per case is still a bit harder versus the amount of packs they're now shoving in there. So we'll see if they actually truly double the ratio or if it's just 2 per case. And then if you're looking for an individual Ghost, it's like maybe barely easier than last year. But we do have Dark Magician Girl Ghost confirmed by Konami instead of just the Glam, so people are losing their minds. Then we have Cyber Dragon, we have Red Dragon, Archfiend, and Blue Eyes. But we already knew that here on the channel along with Dark Arm Dragon. What we didn't know is Heat Soul, Boral End, and Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. So we get these imports guaranteed. Somebody's like, you can't call it Ghost from the Trash anymore, huh? If this is it, I could still call it Ghost from the Trash. We need some star-studded reprints. We need some reprints of Eternity Code and Rise cards, but this is a great start. I agree. This is an amazing start, in fact. So I do look forward to what they'll be doing with the set and actually the singles inside. But if this is all, they did some cool imports from the rival protagonist cards like this last year. It's not enough on its own, but we can celebrate finally getting Heat Soul. Now, pre-sales are up over on Big 3 deals at the cheapest deal, $7.25. Code the What's Good 5 for 5% off and to support the channel directly will make it even cheaper. And then also on Gamer's Choice, they have it at $7.30. If you're more familiar with them, you trust them more, you can go over here as well. Honestly, shop who you want at 5%, $5 on an entire case. Like, it's whoever you want, but both of them are very trustworthy, and I do really appreciate the work they put in with this community. There's also individual displays on both of them at competitive prices. Now, the Alba Strike Structure Deck, aka our Albaz Strike Structure Deck, got a full reveal for its set list over in the OCG, and the only thing, hot take, I think is going to get pulled out, because everyone's joking Pot of Extravagance will get picked out. Well, Pot of Extravagance has multiple non-shorted reprints at this point. It could get the duality treatment and end up in a structure deck. Oh, IDP will get pulled out. It's like an $8 card on the market right now. What I do think could get pulled out is Dark Rule and No More, because we do still have Charmer structure decks on shelves, different places, and while they multi-structure deck a lot of cards, that reprint was so good, let's do it again. I think they might skip on Dark Ruler and No More just to help the Charmer structure, but I think all the other amazing reprints could end up in here, and we do see that they restocked over on Gamer's Choice a little over MSRP. Unfortunately, they did have to pay more in order to get more in because they sold out of their initial quantities during those Black Friday deals, so I hope you were eating good there and then. And the same for Big 3. They've priced up just a little, but if you want mass orders for your community, they have really good prices, or if you think sitting on this sealed will do well, as often for certain structure decks, that is very good. But keep in mind, Konami did rewave cards like this in the Megatons this last year, which could affect sealed value, although with the Sacred Beast structure deck, this is a super interesting conversation. Okay, so I'm going to start with a Luber here. I just want to bring up that I got the reason wrong for him going up on last Market Watch. He searches the branded spells directly. I want to actually go to the Sacred Beast structure deck because I know I'm pulling an audible, but the Sacred Beast structure deck, despite having its cards leached of value in the higher rarities, had really strong traction and sales at a huge upped price during this month and during the sales days. And you can see competition is ramping up though. Whoa, but without the box, you don't want to buy it without the box if you're keeping it long term. It's still really selling around $25, but also selling really good without the packaging. So it is kind of interesting how that anime aspect plays, which this deck does not have, versus those upped rarities in the 10s leeching value away. So the structure decks can be a bit impervious to that matter. But I do wonder, without that anime armor, but super lore armor, what will be happening long-term with structure. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think Megaton reprints could affect that value and leech from it, or no, it's as strong as the Sacred Beast structure deck, because I love talking market theory like this. Is what really gets me excited about going over things. Now, with that structure deck, Fallen of All Boss himself, Secret Rare, continues to climb. I do think this could be the mid to max rarity, and I think it's the most obvious choice in the world that he should get an ultimate rare and an OTS pack coming up, and that will probably happen for him. But that's not confirmed. That's hopium slash market brain. Nadir Servant and Ecclesia are not in the structure as many people hoped they would be to go along with the lore. Not necessarily needed for the deck, but you obviously can mix it in. I do think that these cards are pretty good pickups now, though, especially if people start scrambling. How often does a structure deck come out and it clears the market of certain cards? Why not just pick up your secret rare set at the cheapest price it's been, thanks to the waves of Megatons before? This engine's still very good and hasn't been hit on the ban list. Like, before, you know, prices might go up around March when the structure releases. I really think that it's a decent pickup. We also are talking about the Code Talker Heat Soul coming out and how certain Cyberse cards could get traction. Well, also, remember, Ghost from the Trash was a reprint set. This is too. And while certain reprints could be used as not the best reprint ever, they could end up in Ghosts from the Past too, such as Math Mech Edition. We could see stuff like Cynet Conflict, which only has one printing, go off the market, maybe get a reprint, maybe not. How hard will they go and theme around their imports? We don't know yet. We don't even know what sets inside from the OCG. Last year it was the selection set. We don't know what's in Ghosts from the Past, so yeah, I could still maybe call it Ghosts from the Trash, but I really hope I call it like Ghosts from the Chad or something really good. I just don't want a repeat of last year, Konami. Come on, you're doing a good job so far. And then we have Cynet Codec, which only has one holo version out of a game promotion, and then you're stuck with the rare. So maybe you want the game promo super to go with your deck. If you're considering your deck and going around it, some of these could get holo upgrades and Ghosts from the Past, but you might want to pick up these versions of cards sooner than later. And finally, talking about a ghost that's not a ghost rare, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Foreshadowing, maybe? Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit first editions are pretty much off the market. English are around $100 with only 2 copies listed right now, and a lot of Ghost Ogres in general have been picking up sales throughout this format as an option against so many different decks and really putting it in the work. So do consider that this is floating throughout the format, especially with your gameplay. I'm sorry, Numeron players, this does counter your field spell if you're playing it in the rogue section, but Ghost Ogre is being heavily targeted right now. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the conversation. What do you think of the brothers pre-sales and the unfortunate ratios and how things are going versus maybe Tier 0 relisted some cards while I did this video? That would be pretty clutch, wouldn't it? Not quite yet. I will poke them as I upload, so it's worth checking in at. Gamer's Choice doing their first ever pre-sales with very competitive prices, blowing out TCG Player on a lot of these, and then daily I'll poke them and see if they're going to reprice or how they're going to approach. Again, thanks for watching so much. I love bringing these big brands together that grow throughout time, that bring these crushing prices versus the TCG Player market, even when there's a little competition. It's just so crazy how they don't have a better system over here for this overall. Thanks for watching, everybody.